Hi lovelies, and I know that I am really late with any kind of Ostara video, but I've been taking a break from this space for a while, but I'm back now. And my altar is pretty much untouched from Imolc. So I have been shopping and I thought, let's just show you. Let me sit down in my creaky wicker chair. That's not my bones, I promise. That's my creaky wicker chair. But I wanted to show you what I've been buying because I love Ostara visually. I love Ostara. Of course, it's the time in the year when we've got balance. We've got a balanced day and night. Winter is officially over. It's the heralding of spring, which as a gardener I'm really happy about. And it's traditionally in Christian festivals, it's Easter. But of course, going with the wheel of the year, it's not Easter, it's Ostara. But those themes of new life, of light coming in, of beginnings, oh my gosh, it's all there. Now, what I wanted to do, first of all, is I cannot resist Ostara things in the shop. Of course, it's always marketed as Easter things, but hey ho, but I have a real love of it, and I've wanted one of these big fuzzy felt green bunnies for an awfully long time, but they were always too expensive. In fact, I very nearly succumbed in TK Maxx this year, but again it was really expensive. But then I found one in Home Bargains, which is a much cheaper shop here in the UK. I think it was possibly £4 for this beautiful bunny, and it's quite big. It's quite a big bunny, but oh my gosh, I love it so much. So that's the first thing I bought. And then this bunny, now he was only, I think it was £2, something like that for this one. I just loved his face and his ceramic boots. But when I picked him up off the shelf, I noticed that this one, out of all the ones on the shelf, had paint chipped on one of its boots, so you can see there's paint chipping off. And I went to put it back, but then his little voice went, "Please don't put me back, please choose me." And that was it then, of course. He was coming home with us, chipped boots and all. So I've got him, and then next to him was this little bunny that had such a fierce little expression. I couldn't resist the expression. It's so sweet with the orange flower, but its expression is kind of, really like full on, and I loved that. So once I spotted that this one had a much more forceful expression than all the others, that was it. That one was coming home. And then I found just a simple spring garland, and I think this one, I don't think it was even £2, but don't you think that's absolutely gorgeous? So some of these things I've bought to put out on my altar, which you can see is still Imolc. Some of these things, this I might put in my doll room and do some Easter dolls for a shelf in my doll room. And that's what made me buy these. I couldn't find any of the little boxes of yellow chicks this year, whether they've all sold out, but I did find a little box of dinky tiny little sheep. And I bought these to give to my dolls as toys. No, I know, I can't help myself. But then, like, Easter is all about new birth, and it's about, the beginnings. So I think to go back and do some inner child work and some joy around, like, toys and dolls for me, it's very fitting with Ostara. And I bought this bunny as well, possibly for doll toy. It might be a bit too big to give to a doll for a toy. I haven't decided yet, but I might find a doll that fits with. But again, they dirt shape. And I just think that's a beautiful selection. So what I thought I would do today, I thought I would bring you along while I change up my altar. And following the last video I did Imolc for the Exhausted Witch. And guys, I'm still pretty exhausted. I've had a long break from YouTube. For me, it's a long break anyway. I've only done a few videos in the last 2 months. and I did take time away from my space. And I think I'd like to start this video by saying, if there's things going on, which there were for me, and if you're exhausted and you've got a lot of other things on, especially if you're a content creator, do take time away if you need it. Just do. Don't get caught up in the algorithm, you know, I need to be consistent. If you can't be consistent, then for any of the Sabbats, just take a break. You can always come back, even if you come back late for a Sabbat, and you can still jump in wherever you're at. So I think the fact that I'm late with this video, I've been away for a long time, I've taken a break, it's the first good advice that I've got to give for enjoying the wheel of the year. As an exhausted witch, you don't have to do it all. I mean, this was just a little walk to the shops. I went up there to get something for the kids that they needed, and it was just nice to spend half an hour browsing all the Easter stuff and have a little shop. So even if I only do this and put some of these out on shelves, that will be enough for my Ostara, just to give my inner child a hug, let my inner child clap with joy over fuzzy felt rabbits and chicks in boots, and buying my dolls toys. I mean, it doesn't get more inner child than that. And then to put some of these out either in the doll room or on my altar, which is here behind. Now, in the Emote for an Exhausted Witch, I talked about not thinking of completely changing up the altar, but just adapting it. And I'm going to continue on that vein, I think, with this altar change. I'm not going to completely change it and give myself a huge job to do. I am just going to see where I can tweak, think adapt. And then if you've not got much energy, then that is a much easier way to change up your altar. I mean, I can see now like the pine cones and the fir and like the Christmassy Yule type emote stuff can come off. Possibly put the egg garland in. The doll at the back and the Freya card, the Bridget card, I'm going to change those out. There's not going to be a lot of changes. I might change the candle out. I'm going to find place for the green rabbit I want on here. So let's just gently tweak. That's all I'm going to do. So to tweak, not completely change. Oh, but let me show you as well in my apothecary. I've got some other Ostara things in there that I think might come out. Like I said, I'm a real sucker for chicks and bunnies and all the Ostara Easter goodness. So here in my apothecary, which is this was a old CD rack that I fixed a mirror on to turn it into a cupboard, and it got covered in flower fairy stuff. Now, my daughter used this for a long time as a huge jewellery box. That's why, look, I've still got my jewellery hanging off the pegs, because it is rammed full of random things which I call my apothecary. So there's like candles, there's room sprays, there are crystals and different things in there. There's glass beads for spell work, look, more candles, and I spy a rabbit. We have a rabbit. That's the first thing that you can see in here. These all had hooks that used to once hold necklaces. I spy another rabbit there behind the acorn. Actually, is it a rabbit? Yes, it is a rabbit. In fact, there should be a few rabbits in there. Look, there's another one. There's another one. Let's put all the acorn candles back there. Now, is there anything else I want to bring out? Different soils collected. Candles. I think I might pull out, actually, the yellow candles, to be honest. So I'm going to bring the yellow candles out. Let's grab some fresh tea lights while I'm in here. Let's get some Dragon Soul Healing Bliss Clearing Spray. I've been busy cleansing my space over the last few days for my return to YouTube. I've cleansed my decks, I've been cleansing my space. So let's grab that out. We can throw some of that around. So here is my altar, and this was spring cleaned, and although you might think, well, all you've done is change a few things, it still takes effort. If you're exhausted, this took me a while. I had to get all the dust off it. I had to swap things out. The things that I've swapped out, I've still got to find places to put them away. Had to go and find salt to hold the yellow candle. My white rabbit at the back there is actually a light, and it had stopped working, so I had to go and clean out the battery compartment, find new batteries. It still won't work, so I've put the little star candles back in to light up that rabbit light at the back. And it still takes effort. So I think, going on the theme of the exhausted witch, I think it's really important to go easy on yourself. When you Google a star, it says spring clean. Do you know what? Dusting this is all I've got energy for. This can be my house spring clean. I've got a nice comfy seat here. I've got my Arthurian tarot out, ready to do some gentle work with that. Well, I say gentle, it's the Hallow Quest, so it probably won't be. But just one deck to focus on. And look, I just tweaked it. And then I've put some ceramic bunnies out here. I've put the sun disc on my charging crystal. This is to really charge up that idea of light, bringing light into my life. I've got my rosary on there as well. I've cleaned all the dials, and I've just tweaked this altar. So I want to sit with one deck and go easy on yourself. What have I kept the same? So I've kept the picture of my dad on there. That kind of lives on my altar, and this is his rose quartz crystal, which I've brought down here. And as for crystals, I didn't go into great depth for what crystals are supposed to go with Ostara. I went with my intuition, my gut, what I feel I want to work with. I pulled out some amethyst and this beautiful sort of smoky quartz heart. That idea of bringing into my spiritual walk the things that I love, the things that make my inner child delight. I think spring and that joy of spring light, and all of a sudden we can get outside and the sunshine's coming back again. I think to focus on things we love is a really lovely way of celebrating Ostara. I found my little rabbit cup, which normally lives in my east altar. I've got to go and do that, because as well as this main altar, I've got the corners of my room done to match the directions. So this used to be in my east altar. I've got something else to go in there, but I thought this would look nice on here. I filled it up with salt. I cleansed my room with the salt as well, and I've put a yellow candle in there to burn. I also found this egg tea light holder. This was bought one birthday from my children. The fact that it's an egg and my children bought me it is really special. It's perfect for giving thanks on an Ostara altar. Then that big green bunny is in there, and I've still got the wicker wreath representing the wheel of the year. I've left the snowdrops on because there are still snowdrops coming up everywhere around here, which might not necessarily be classed as a Ostara flower. It's more daffodils, isn't it, and things like that. But for me, looking out of my window, the snowdrops and daffodils, so they're staying on. I'd prefer to represent what's real for me rather than what, say, a book or Pinterest might tell me I need to go with. It's the same with the stones and the crystals. I went with what resonates with me at the moment. But what I have done, I've tied onto there this little bouquet of crochet flowers, which my daughter Poppy made me for Mother's Day. So it's that idea of new life, new birth, babies, spring lambs, chicks, rabbits, eggs. Mother's Day for us in the UK is also in March. That just seemed perfect to add in. I found a little swan with its signets. That's gone in there representing new life. And there is a jewelled egg that opens up here that I might do some spell work within over Ostara as well. And of course my cleansing bell. And then next to it all is my Arthurian tarot, ready to do some work today. I'm going to do some gentle meditation and healing work, and also pull some cards to welcome a new start for me, which is slightly late, yes, but it does really feel like the correct time for me to welcome in Ostara. And again, I think that's a thing for exhausted witches. If you're in a week where Ostara is hitting and you just can't do it and you're exhausted, don't feel like you've missed it. Do it when it feels right for you. I don't think anybody is going to be policing the exact dates. I look out the window and it feels like Ostara right now, and my soul and spirit feels like welcoming it in, so I think that's fine too. Each corner of my bedroom there is an elemental directional mini altar set up. I did that for the Hallow Quest, but to be honest, it's just really good if you are drawing a circle and you've got those 4 altars to call upon. So, but I've added in, you can see the bunnies onto that for Ostara, so that's been fun as well. So you'll often see recommended for Sabbats going on a nature walk, spotting the wheel turning, and that's really beautiful for spring because you begin to see all the spring flowers coming out after winter. However, I have added this spring walk into an already existent job, and I can't tell you how excited I was to see this first daffodil at the local church. So this was going into town to try and sort out Tilly's bank accounts. So I was already parked up and walking through town. I was a bit stressed about this job actually this morning, so throwing into the mix just a chance to spot spring flowers in the 5-minute walk from the car park to the bank while I was waiting for the bank to open. Not only did it take stress off a job that I already had to do, but it didn't take me any extra time. I would have had to have walked this anyway. So I think that's a really top tip really for us witches. Can you do it in the everyday? And look at all the flowers. It's so welcome to see colour back after the cold and wet weather that we've been having. So there were all of these. I was very tempted to start collecting petals, but there were too many people around. Aren't these absolutely gorgeous? And look at the base of all the trees in town. There are these little blue star-like flowers, just so gorgeous. And then I would have missed this if I hadn't had the intention to spot signs of spring. But look at all the hellebores that were under the tree. Of course, hellebores are linked to the underworld because they're the first flowers that appear after winter. And they were everywhere. There were primroses all around them. Primroses for me are such a nostalgic flower of childhood. But who would have thought that right by the church in town there was, under the trees, there was such a beautiful display of flowers. I was flabbergasted, and honestly I do think I would have missed them if I hadn't gone out with an intent. And then later driving home I stopped at the charity shop and look at the church display with all the daffodils. So I am just back from town, from not sorting the bank, shall we say. So that was a bit stressful. It was so lovely to look at all the spring flowers first and to spend a bit of time with underneath that tree by the church in town, just spending time with all those hellebores, which are some of the very first flowers to come up. So that was just lovely, and to see the first daffodils as well. I decided to read some of my favourite children's books. Now, The Rabbit's Wedding, this is a fantastic book. I was actually given this from a colleague who used to be my supply teacher when I when I taught infants, and she once came in just as I got back from a course and was reading the class this, and it made me cry. I loved it so much. It's a story about the white rabbit and the black rabbit and them falling in love and wondering like who was going to be the first to say it. It was just so lovely, and then them getting married, and I loved it so much that it made me cry. I was actually just coming up to my wedding at the time, and my colleague, she wrapped this up and gave it to me as a wedding present. I have since wondered whether to get rid of it after what happened with my marriage, but do you know what, I've kept it as a testament to how I love, regardless of how others love, and it's just a lovely book to bring out in Ostara. And because Ostara there is an element of newness and babies and inner children, and like the children, it's the beginnings of things. So I think it's really nice to pull out of your bookcase, if you've got them, or to go searching for them in charity shops. All of these, apart from this one, were found in charity shops, of your childhood books. Now, for a long time I've been collecting these ladybird books with these covers, which were my childhood books. I absolutely loved them. I've been searching over the last few years, and I found the odd one here or there in charity shops. I'm beginning to repiece my collection, but in Ostara, I just think it's really nice to pull them out and to put them next to your bed as bedtime reading, just to touch base with them again. It's full of nostalgia, it's full of the thoughts of your beginnings, and it's just a delight to the inner child. I had no idea I'd got 2 Rumpelstiltskins, but there you go, I've got 2 of those. You can see I just grab them in charity shops as and when I can find them that aren't too expensive, and look, like stories like The Ugly Duckling, you've got ducks there as well. So these are some really important books for me. So I'm going to make a little pile next to my bed of books that I read as a kid. Then a few weeks ago, I also found these 2 books in a charity shop. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? It just screams Ostara for me. I mean, this is beginning to fall apart a bit. They were only like a few pennies, these books. But for grimoires, now I wouldn't say chop up a book like this, I never do, but what I do, if I want to do some journaling or some grimoire work, especially if I'm writing about Ostara, you can take these and get them colour copied, or just plain photocopied and then colour them in yourself, or trace them and colour them in. It's just a really lovely way of using these delightful old illustrations, which I don't think we get anymore in a lot of books, to just add just so much joy to a grimoire. I mean, look at this just screams Ostara. That's just so amazing. You know, you could do a whole spell around that of what are you chasing, what's floating away from you. You know, they could inspire tarot spreads if you wanted, like what journey are you going on, what do you have to pack in your knapsack, what will keep the sun off your head to keep your head together, what lovely things will help you along the way. You know, you could just make up tarot spreads just by looking at the pictures. You know, like what path are you on, what are you taking with you, what do you need to watch out for looming in the trees. You know, just so many different ideas. And you know, when I saw these books, if I ever see anything like this in a charity shop, I just can't leave them. I just think they are, for me I think it's nostalgia is full of magic for me. So you can see this was I found at the same time, so this is obviously the same sort of complete style. I mean, if this isn't perfect to read at night next to your bed for Ostara, even if you think it's completely ridiculous to read it, but just to let go, just even if you just read one story and ask yourself, I wonder if any ideas for magic could come out of this, or any words for spells, or any ideas for my grimoire. I mean, it's just rampant with magic. So do visit charity shops, do search things like this, track down your childhood books like I've been doing. Perfect to come out at Ostara, to curl up with a hot water bottle if you need to, underneath a cosy blanket, put a yellow candle on and sit and read some childhood books. It's so good for the inner child. Okay, while I was in town, so I didn't add an extra trip on. I was literally walking back to the car. To walk back to the car doing a job I'm already doing, so I'm not adding anything in. I stopped off, I had to walk past a craft shop. I got some felt bunny decorations to possibly make some dolls' dresses with, or capes. I got some Easter ribbon, again for dressing my dolls coming into the mix. So I bought those are absolutely dirt cheap. In the charity shop as well, I found this jigsaw, and it just screamed, like with all the buttercups and the butterfly and the frog, which are animals of Ostara as well, and with all the fairies on and the garden coming back to life. This just screamed spring and Ostara to me. So it is a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. If you are really tired, some calm activities are really nice to plan in, so journaling, meditating, jigsaws, or colouring, something that calms the heart rate down. So this jigsaw was £2. When I opened it up when I got home, the piece is actually still sealed, so it is all there. But if you are scared to buy jigsaw puzzles from charity shops, most people won't buy them from charity shops because they're scared that there are going to be pieces missing. However, if you do the jigsaw and there are pieces missing, what I always do is I search on the box for where the piece is, and I use that as a little message. You can call it the jigsaw fairies if you want, giving you a message, and it's so apt that there are fairies on this jigsaw as I'm saying that. Like, what message has the jigsaw spirit or the jigsaw fairies got to give you? And there is magic in the missing pieces. If you start doing that, you actually are quite disappointed if you finish the jigsaw and there are no missing pieces. But it's a really calm, really still, quiet, gentle activity that if you're an exhausted witch but you want to do some fairy work, call on the jigsaw fairies to give you a message. So I bought that today. I thought that was perfect. But in the same charity shop, do you know I told you that my bunny had stopped working? For £1, I found exactly the same bunny that is working. So let's go pop him on the altar. The coincidence of that, there's magic right there. Oh look, there he is at the back, all lit up and working now. He'll be lovely when it gets darker just to switch on. And now I have this bunny to go on the windowsill with all the other bunny family. This little doll was a second-hand doll that was really sad, and like you can see, her face is discoloured. I bought her for 10p a few years ago, and she's always been the doll that stands on my spring altar in the corner of my bedroom, but I'm actually going to wash her. She's looking very much the worse for wear. So look for the things that you love. So everybody knows, who's been on my channel for a while, that I love dolls. I have my own separate doll channel. I'm actually going to pick out some dolls that make me think about this time of year, like this little doll off my altar, and I'm going to give them a wash and a makeover. I'm going to give them the Ostara toys I bought for them, and give them a little decoration of Ostara items on a shelf in the doll room. Again, it's another wonderful way to welcome back the inner child. So you could ask yourself the question, what did I love as a child, and go and do that for Ostara. Now, this is an early fashionista, and I think, and she came with really curly hair. I found her in a charity shop for just a few pence. So far this Ostara, I've sewed her dress up, which was completely torn. So I've mended her dress, and don't you think that she looks very the right colours? She just looks so Ostara doll-fied. Does that make sense? It doesn't. But what I want to do, I want to give her some Ostara toys. And also I've been to like school Easter coffee mornings at school, and Tilly had an Easter concert that they did. So if you're a busy mom with the end of term for Easter with all the Easter activities, then go to those Easter activities as a homage to the Sabbath. Like at Christmas time, when you're going to Christmas nativities, have that as your celebration for yourself. Like put on some yellow socks, go to the Easter coffee morning, and have that as a witchy practice. Now, while I was there, Tilly was picking things to buy off stalls, and she picked some egg cups with Cadbury's cream eggs in that were all wearing these little bunny hats. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give her a bunny hat to wear once she's all washed. So I haven't finished yet with the charity shop finds from today. First of all, look at this wicker basket that I managed to pick up. It's the most amazing wicker basket that looks like a lemon slice. Perfect for Ostara. I paid £3.50 for it. It's vintage. I love it. Okay, a perfect doll for Ostara is a Kindy Kid. Now, I have a collection of Kindy Kids downstairs on my shelf in the lounge. They are the most childlike dolls I collect. Normally I collect fashion dolls, but there is something about these bobblehead Kindy Kids that I absolutely love. Yes, her hair needs a wash, but that can all be done to honour Ostara. I mean, she's exactly the right colours for this time of year. She's got all the Easter colours, and I just love them. Look at her. So I'm going to have real fun washing her. You can see in this basket I also found some other dolls. Oh my gosh, look at this one. So this one was £1.50, and I have no idea what she is, but she is a light up fairy. Isn't she fantastic? And considering that I am making like dolls houses and doll worlds downstairs, to have a fairy world is just going to be perfect. So you can press her and light her. Whatever colour her necklace lights up, you can get the wings to light up, and then you can change the colour, and then you repress the wings and they change colour again to match. And there's all sorts of different colours. So if you were interested in doing fairy magic or working with fairy energy, and you wanted to put colour correspondences into it, then hello, have we just found the perfect little doll? I mean, just completely perfect for Ostara workings. Completely perfect. And I just think she's wonderful. So you've got a whole colour range, and then it goes back to off. Just hello, just amazing. And then for 50p each, I found some other fairy dolls and some spring petal dolls as well that could be her helper. Of course, all these dolls need washing, but that's part of the fun. And now you can have a proper look at the sections in this £3.50 basket, which is just perfect. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I am going to find a couple of spring decks. So I'm going to sort my tarot. That's another thing you could do. You could find a couple of spring decks that you'd like to work with, and I'm going to pop them in the front here, and I might pop some journaling supplies in the back there. But in here as well, another really easy way to celebrate Ostara is jewellery. I know I spoke about this in the Imolc video that I did. So to choose a piece of jewellery that could be for Ostara. Now, because this one had a butterfly on, I just fell in love with that. And like, butterflies are an animal that, you know, there's changes afoot with a butterfly. It's a really nice sign of Ostara. And I found this, and this was only 50p. This locket is quite tough to open, which is really good, because you don't want any like spell work or any wordings that you're putting in, or if you're putting photographs in for any reason, you don't want that to fall out. So it's really good to find one with a substantial click that isn't going to fall apart. And like, for 50p, the possibilities for that for Ostara spell work is brilliant. Clothes, jewellery, accessories, they're all brilliant for any Sabbat you're in. And I know I mentioned that the last time, but I really wanted to show you this because I was actually looking for a necklace with a new necklace with butterflies on, and when I saw that, I just thought, wow, that is perfect. There we go, a couple of decks to work with over the next few days. The Animal Apothecary Oracle, which is like really lovely, sort of bright pastel-y colours. I'm going to put that with the Muse, which makes me think about this time of year as well. So that is my little setup. I'm going to put some pens and a journal in there as well. And there we are, guys, I've got my Ostara basket. So, thinking about my tarot deck now and my Oracle deck. So if divination is part of your practice, I mean, these are just perfect, look. If divination is part of your practice, then, you know, you can change the spreads that you do. You can go on Pinterest and find loads of Ostara spreads. Why don't we just see if we can just brainstorm some Ostara spreads? Because that might be a really simple way for you to just sit at your desk and think, right, let's just come up with a spread. So if we think, say, about the fact that it's balance, isn't it? It's light and dark balance. What you could do is shuffle a deck and then flick through it until you find the Temperance card, and then from the Temperance card, take two either side of the Temperance card to see what you need to let go of and what you need to embrace. Here is the Temperance card. She was here. So the two this side could be for like things you need to let go of in order to get balance, and then the two the other side for things that you need to embrace to get balance. It's a really easy Ostara spread. Or if we go with, say, some of the symbols, I mean, eggs. I've got an egg crystal here, which could be nice if you've got egg-shaped crystals to work with. If you think of the symbology of the egg, you could, say, pull a card for what's stuck inside. Like, why does it need to come out? What will help it hatch? What brings me anxiety about letting it hatch? Where am I walking on eggshells? And how can the egg become a fully fledged hatched chick? You know, what will be the outcome? So you could just pick the symbology to come up with a spread. Like the idea of springtime with Ostara, like what's beginning? What am I at the beginning of? How can I support this new start? How can I make room for the new start? What resources can I pull on? What might I need to let go of? What is the best outcome? What might I need to consider? Like, you could do spreads around new starts. I mean, if you think about the animals, let's think about the butterfly. You know, what's inside the cocoon that needs to come out? How can I support the cocoon transforming? What do I need to let go of? What type of butterfly is going to emerge? How can I support the butterfly once it's emerged? Anything like that. The world is your oyster when it comes to inventing your own tarot spreads. I mean, it might be that you find a deck that you know has got, say, a butterfly in it somewhere, and you find an Ostara animal somewhere in the deck, or an Ostara flower, and then you shuffle and you find a card either side of it for what to let go of and what to embrace. So lots of ideas for just really simple Ostara spreads just off the top of your head that you could, really embrace. And I think also as well, charm casting as well is a really nice way of having some fun during Ostara. I'm reaching over at the minute for my big bowl of just different charms. I mean, what you could even do, you could even set up like an Ostara tray, like you could put an egg somewhere to represent new beginnings. You could put a bunny or a chick down somewhere to represent like an inner child. What do I need to do for my inner child? You could put a bunny down for where might I hop away and get carried away. Like, you can make a whole story up. I think amethysts are good for crystals. What might be hiding in the night. I always think of amethysts as nighttime crystals. Whatever you use, or you've got associations with, use it. Like, I could use one of my fairy dolls as, where can I bring magic in? Assign them meanings, and then grab a handful of charms and throw it on and see what lands and find the story. So what have we got here? This is exciting. I'm liking this. So new beginnings. We've got the soldier walking away. So perhaps this is a peaceful new beginning. No more fighting anymore. It's like peaceful, and there's nothing around the doll. So the way to bring magic in is nothingness, like that peace and calm, to sit in stillness with nothing around you, to let the soldier walk away. Look, his gun is about to be speared on just a soft, fluffy ball. There is no more fighting there. It's a new start. It's landed by the bunny. Like, I'm not going to get carried away anymore. It's just going to be a quiet new start. Like, what's in the shadows next to the amethyst? We got a princess crown and a comb. Gosh, princess crowns and combs, like your hair, the way you look. What's in the shadows? Absolutely in my shadows. It's how I look at the moment. I hate the way I look at the minute. Let go of that as well. So how can I support the new chick in me? There's a silk leaf landed there. In fact, no, that's a real leaf. So to get out in nature more, the colour purple for me represents magic. So to do some nature magic, perfect message for Ostara. And then coming out on the edge here, we've got we have a house and sunglasses. So to get to the caravan more, the house by the seaside, which is where I wear my sunglasses, is to get to the caravan more and to do some art. I've been wanting to set up art in the caravan. Can you see that this is just a perfect way to do a lovely fun Ostara spread? If you don't even want to do tarot, you want something fun, you want to collect some Easter memorabilia and some chicks, and you want to go and do some shopping for some chicks and dolls and bunnies and eggs, you could set up any story you want with those objects, and you could just throw charms onto them. And then if you really wanted at the end for clarification, you could just pull an oracle card over the top. And then finally, I googled online what came up when I put in Ostara activities, and I made a big list of them, and I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to try and find simpler, easier ways to do it. Next to my unmade bed, you might see a no makeup, so there we go. So the first thing that came up was plant a garden. Yeah, okay, that's like about 10 years worth of work. Or you could just plant seeds. Now, I am a gardener and I haven't done any of my seed planting yet, so I'm miles behind with it. there's just been too much on. Every day it's been like today, there's not too many official jobs to do. So I put instead, go and buy some tulips, go and buy yourself a bunch of tulips when you're doing the grocery shop, so it's not an extra trip to the shops. So get some nature in. There's daffodil bunches, there's tulips in the supermarkets now. So yes, you could plant some seeds, you could just plant some bulbs, you could plant a garden if you've got the energy, or you could just go and buy yourself a bunch of tulips and daffodils. Another thing came up was decorate eggs. You could decorate eggs. There's lots of nice colouring books for Easter. You could colour in an egg as a nice quiet evening activity. If you've got any of these egg-shaped crystals, you could just put those out rather than having to decorate an egg. Or you could make yourself a boiled egg for breakfast and just do a pentagram on the shell as you cut the top off. So at some point this week I'm going to have a boiled egg breakfast, and with a felt tip pen I'm going to write happy Ostara, may you have the sunniest Ostara ever, and I'm going to draw pentagram on it. So it also said bake hot cross buns. Oh, the energy for that, absolutely not. Go and buy some hot cross buns, or bake with eggs. So again, make a boiled egg for breakfast. Spring clean the whole house. I've already touched on that. You could just spring clean your altar space or a desk, or create a little corner that's spring cleaned with a comfy chair in to do some reading. Or you could think of spring cleaning yourself. Like, you have to have a shower and wash your hair anyway, so why don't you buy some bright yellow lemony soap and think of an Ostara spring clean of yourself. And meditate again, I think that's brilliant. At any Sabbat, that's my go-to when I'm tired, to either pathwork into a card to meditate. You could find like a temperance card with that idea of balance and pathwork into that card for meditation, or you could focus on the idea of new beginnings for a meditation. It says decorate an Ostara altar. I would say tweak your altar for Ostara, which you've already seen me do. Incense, it listed things like grapefruit, jasmine, lemon. If you don't have those incense on hand and you're like me, you've just got 27 boxes of dragon's blood incense stacked up because that's the only one that you like, then go with that. It's the same with crystals and colours and incenses. You know, who says that that's what you have to use? If you put intent into the things you're working with and it feels like a star to you, then go with personal gnosis. I mean, I love the heart-shaped stones that I find, especially in Ostara. There's something about thinking about babies, thinking about the inner child, that makes me want to go and find heart stones. So this is out on my altar, as is this, because it's shaped like an egg. So do that, and don't think you've got to go and buy some grapefruit incense sticks because you might not like them. Put intent into the sticks that you've already got, or the incense cones that you've already got. Food, it says bake with eggs and honey. Well, you could, I'm sure there are people online doing amazing Ostara cakes, or you could just put honey on your toast one breakfast and then have a boiled egg with it. So I've touched on that. Connect with your inner child. I've given you lots of ideas for that. I really love the idea of the Ostara storyboard. You could do that on just like a food tray or like a baking tray and set it all out, then throw the charms on. I love that idea. Or you could pull cards for each of the sections of the story that you've made. It says go on a nature walk, look for signs of spring. Well, I did that today, but I did it not as an additional thing to do. I did it on the way to the banks where I had to do some jobs. So you can possibly do it. If you're driving to work, if you're working all day long, then you could look for signs of spring as you drive to work. So, you know, you don't have to add it in, as it were. And then the divination, don't think you've got to get a specific spread. Just brainstorm some fun ideas around Ostara for you. Write those brainstorm ideas down on a scrap piece of paper and then glue them into your grimoire. You've done a grimoire page then, and you might not have thought you had any energy or time to do a grimoire page. So guys, I really hope that that was useful. I know for me at the minute, she says with her voice about to pack up, that I'm so tired and I've still got so many other jobs to do today, including sorting a plumber, tracking down some more paperwork for banks and following up a college phone call, that there's always too much on, and I really needed to simplify my practice over the last few months and for the foreseeable future. So I think it's really important for us to go easy on ourselves as witches. It's not performative, it's who you are, it's not what you do. I mean, you could just literally do nothing and just sit one night and go, happy Ostara, universe, I love you, can't wait to see what comes next, and that's it, it's job done. It's just the acknowledgement. Of course, doing the spell work and the rituals and all the tarot spreads and all the grimoire pages, it's all wonderful. It is all part of it. We do call it a witchcraft practice after all, but just sometimes your practice might need to be consolidated down just to self-love and an acknowledgement to the universe. So guys, from Chip in his chipped boots and me, happy Ostara, happy start to spring. I hope that helped, and I'll see you next time. Bye.